Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States. Welcome back to another edition of Undercover Lies, where we expose Trump for the world to see as he really is. And what do we here at Undercover Lies think of Trump? We think he was striving to be an authoritarian dictator, but Trump has always failed at everything he has ever tried to accomplish. He didn't win the popular vote in 2016, nor in 2020, but with the help of Russia and his boss Putin, he stole the election in 2016 and attempted to do the same when he lost in 2020 by saying that it was an election filled with fraud. Of course, this has proven to be false, and there was actually very little fraud that took place. But what fraud did take place was perpetrated by whom? By the Republicans, of course. So boo-hoo on them. Bunch of traitors who would lie down for the Fuhrer. This week we'll be talking about Trump's vice president in charge of caca, Michael Pence. So please stick around while we continue with our new series, Trump's Week of Woe. This week, further woe is heaped upon Trump to add to the woe the ex-resident is currently facing. The National Archives asked the DOJ to give it guidance into the mishandling and misappropriation of official records by the ex-resident. Of course, the DOJ passed it back to them and told the National Archives to let the House panel decide on how to proceed. The House panel has asked the National Archives to hand over the said documents, some of which were classified as high as top secret. Mike Pence was standing around not saying or doing anything, just letting his boss do whatever he wanted to do. I guess the ex-resident couldn't eat, shit flush, tear up, or burn those documents fast enough and got caught red, or should I say orange-handed. Let's see how Trump is going to wiggle out of this one, the snake, but I digress. Hopefully the DOJ will take it upon themselves to take it back from the House panel after the House panels finish their investigation. We can't say this for sure, but we sure as hell can't hope. Maybe Garland will do his job if he sees others doing theirs. It has also come to our attention that while Republicans love to get their endorsement from their fearless leader when they are running for office, it ultimately appears that endorsement costs them their election.
The runoff election for a Texas congressional district has ended, and the victor is the Republican candidate who did not receive former President Trump's endorsement. Joining us to talk about this is Travis County GOP Chairman Matt Mackowiak and Joe Deschantel, a Democratic consultant. Jake Ellizzi defeated Susan Wright for the 6th congressional district seat. Wright was backed by Trump from the beginning of the race. Matt Mackowiak, does this win for Ellizzi signify the possibility that Republicans might be ready to move on from President Trump?
Concern is reportedly growing within former President Trump's inner circle following the special election loss of a candidate he backed in Texas.
Another plus for Democrats and everyone that does not approve of Trump or his methods is that they will be glad to know that Trump's endorsements cost the candidates in the pocketbook as well as in votes. Pro-Trumpers were receiving sometimes less than 3 times what their non-Trumper endorsement opponents were getting in donations. Let's just hope that Trump keeps endorsing these idiots. Wouldn't it be a sight to behold, no one wanting to get Orange Face's endorsement or to see him ever again? One final item. Fox News, which at one time was tighter with Diaper Don than white on rice, has turned on Trump quicker than shit through a goose and accused Trump of treason. Yep, you heard right. The station that stood behind every lie that Trump was putting out there now is turning on their favorite son and are agreeing with a whole shitbag of people that have called for an investigation into Trump's illegal dealings with Russia prior to his election and the illegal shit he did while he was in office and illegal dealings when trying to stay in office. I have always said that Fox News should be called Foul News for all the fake shit they cover and things they lie about. Well, that's all I have in this edition of Trump's Week of Woe. Next week, we'll continue to cover Trump's downward slide. But as I promised you earlier, we need to talk about his yes sir man, Vice President and erstwhile friend, Michael Pence. When Trump was running for president and trying to get the religious vote, he thought Pence would make a good addition to his candidacy because supposedly Pence is a very religious man. Well, Trump falls far short of that description. Anyway, Pence was a relatively unknown senator from Indianapolis, Indiana, and had served as a senator from January 2013 to January 2017. So he served for about 4 years before being asked to run with Trump as his vice president. Pence, of course, accepted the position as Trump's VP, adding his name and religion to the ticket. As we all know, unfortunately, Trump won in 2017 and Pence became his VP. From what we know of Pence's tenure as Trump's VP is that he was a very loyal man and did whatever Trump asked of him. Anything and everything, and he was always looking at Trump as if he were a god or something stupid like that. But he always did Trump's bidding, and very happily. The one time that Trump really needed Pence to do his bidding and to help him stay in office, Pence told Trump that he had talked to several people, including former VP Dan Potato Quayle, and that they had told him he didn't have a legal leg to stand on, and his only option was to certify the election and say that Biden was the new president. I wish I could have been a fly on the White House wall that day. I bet Trump was really crying alligator tears when he told Pence, No, you don't understand. If you don't do this, then I picked the wrong man 4 years ago. And I don't want to be your friend anymore if you don't do this for me. When Trump gets frightened or upset, he goes into his third grade mentality of his and cries like a baby. He also told Pence not to be a pussy and do this one thing for him. Yeah, this one itsy bitsy little favor, that's all. Help me overturn a legal election, even though the citizens voted me out of office and told me to go home. At that point, a lot of people were seeing Trump for what the authoritarian dictator wannabe really was. He lies and says that he has a lot of love for America, but if he does, then why did he try to install himself as a dictator and eat the Constitution? Why? So Pence did virtually everything that Trump asked him to do, no matter the cost to himself or to the rest of America, or the double dealing that he might have to do to fulfill that request. Pence also said that he loves America, but if he does, or did then, why did some people close to them both begin calling him Trump's wife? Maybe it was because they acted like they were married and they argued all the time? Nope, that wasn't it. No, it was because Pence was so loyal to his master that he did and said anything to please Trump, so some people close to them both began calling him Trump's wife. Yeah, he did everything asked of him by his buddy, except one, and that was to not certify the election. Trump's crazy wish was for Pence to help him overturn the election.
On January 6th, Mike Pence will put the nail in your political coffin when he presides over the Senate vote to prove Joe Biden won. It's over, and Mike Pence knows it.
From what is coming out from the January 6th Select Committee investigation was that Trump and his cronies were putting Pence under a lot of pressure to help Trump overturn the election, and for once Pence stood his ground. Just like a kid in the school ground, he was pushed too far by the bully, and he stood up to him. Made me proud of him. Don't get me wrong, I think he is a very scumbag extraordinaire, but in this one small but very significant thing, he told his boss to fuck off. As I've always said, Pence is a pushover in most and not everything, but I think Pence made a few Americans like me proud of him. If it had not been for Pence, we would be living in a dictatorship of Trump's making, and it would not have been a very pretty thing. With Trump in charge as an authoritarian dictator, and don't get me wrong on this, that was what he was ultimately praying for, but the streets would have run red with blood with all the revenge he was planning to take, so thank God for Pence on this one and only this one thing. Thank you, Pence. No need to say you're welcome. Yet another reason why we here at Undercover Lies have been harping to you about these last few weeks, and that is making sure this authoritarian dictator wannabe never gets back into office ever again. Never again. If he does, I guarantee you that we will live miserably until he is dead, and certainly don't want to see him as a dictator in American politics. So there ends our 6th edition of Undercover Lies. We started on this journey several weeks ago, and I want to thank you for tuning in with us. Please comment below, but please be civil. Also, please hit the like button, but if you like what we hear, or even if you don't, come back next week where we will talk about Trump's authoritarian ways again, and we will have a new edition of Trump's Week of Woe. Again, thanks, and remember, America needs your vote.